This video will be going over a solution to the District 2018 problem number 11, Nandita. In this problem, we will be converting dates into other formats from around the world. So the basic idea is we'll be given a date, like we might write it, April 15, 2018, and we want to convert it into numbers with slashes, so 04, 15, 18, or numbers with dots, but we have day first, then month, then year. And finally we have year, month, day. So the idea here is we want to turn the string April into a number like 4. So one way to do that would be we could use a switch case. Another way would be with a hash map. So I'm going to use the hash map way just because, I don't know, I like hash maps. So let's go ahead and let's just get started making our hash map first. So I've got my code here, I've got my scanner already made. Let's go ahead and make our hash map. So hash map. And remember, it's always from to. So we're going from a string to either a string or an integer. So like April is going to become 4, or 04 really, but 4. So I'm going to go ahead and make this go to an integer. Okay, mostly because during the workshop I made it go to a string, so I just want to show the other side of it. So hash map string to integer. Notice the integer here is capital I. It's the whole word. This is actually the wrapper class for int. When you make like hash maps or array lists or things like that, the type in here always has to be a reference type. It can't be a primitive type. So an integer is a reference type. It's the same as an int, but it has some other nice methods. So it's just a requirement when we make one of these data types. So we have hash map, and this is going to be this is going to be the date, or this is going to be the months. So I'm just going to say months. Equals new hash map string to integer. Okay. So then we need to put stuff into there. So I'm going to say months dot put, and we want to map January to the number 1. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing over and over here. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So February. Gee, I want to make sure I spell that right. March 3. April 4. May 5. June 6. July 7. August 8. September 9. October 10. November 11. And finally December 12th. Okay, so we got our hash map for months. So now I think the next thing I want to do is read in this line right here. Now if I look at my 3 inputs here, I'm always going to be given the month first, a space, then the day with the comma, a space, and then the year. Let's go ahead and just use, we'll do a while loop because we don't know how many dates there's going to be. And then inside of each iteration, we'll go ahead and read in all 3 things separately. Okay, so I'm going to say while in.hasNext. Okay, string, I'm going to say m for month equals in.next. String d for day equals in.next. And then string y for years and .next. Okay. Now, the month I actually want to convert into a number. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say int mon equals months dot get m. Okay, so now mon should be holding whatever. So it's April, it should be holding 4. Okay. Likewise, the day, if I look really closly at my required output here, 15 just turns into a 15. But 7 is going to turn into a 07. So I'm going to want to turn the 7 into a number. But I also want to cut off the comma on the end here. So to cut off the comma, I'm going to use a substring. I'm going to say I want everything starting at the beginning and going up to, but not including the last character. That'll get rid of the comma. And then we'll use parseInt to turn that into an integer. So 2 steps here. So let's just say int day equals, so the 2 steps. I want integer.parseInt, and then I want to get the substring from 0 up to the length of d minus 1. That should cut off the end of it. Now year, if I look at the year outputs here, it's either the full 2018 or it's just the last 2, which is a substring. So I can leave that as a string and not really mess with it. Okay. So back to here. So now let's go ahead and start our printf. So out.printf. Now for the first one, we want month, day, year. So I'm going to say %d, which stands, remember again, that's a decimal number. We're going to be putting an integer in there. And then we want the day, so that's another %d. And then we're going to want the year, which remember, year is still a string, so we'll say %s. So let's see here. For that, we want mon, we want day, and we don't want all of year, we want the last 2 of year. So at y.substring, starting at index 2. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run this just to see what it does. Actually, I already know I've forgotten my new line. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and see what it does. So yeah, 4:15:18. So if I look at my output, 4:15, it should have a 0 in front. 12:7, that should have a 0 in front. So I need to fix that. And the way we fix that is in printf, we say, you know what, we want this to be too wide all the time, and we want to put a 0 in front if it's not already too wide. So we'll say 02. Let's try that again, run code. And that's looking right. 04:15:18, 12:07. Okay, that looks good. All right, so now for our next output, is going to copy this. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to retype it. I don't want to get confused. So out.printf. Okay, so looking at my next output, I want day, again with 2 digits, month with 2 digits, and then the whole year with periods in between. Okay, so I'll do %02, okay, d dot %02d dot %s, very similar, new line. But this time I want the day first, then the month, and then the entire year. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that code and see what it looks like. So 15.04 2018, 15.04 2018. Okay, that looks good. So then for our last output format, we want out.printf. And let's see, you're looking at the problem. We want the year, a dash, the month, and then the day. Okay, so year, so we'll say %s, that's the string, dash, %02d, dash, %02d. So the string is the year, then we want the month, and then we want the day. Okay, and then the last thing we want is a print line with, if I look at the problem again, we want exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal signs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. go. Don't forget my new line on this one. Control S to save. And let's try running our code, see what happens. Run. Okay, so comparing without 4:15:18, 15:04, equal, 12:07, 11:01. That looks correct to me. All right, so that's it. Again, here's a look at the final code. Like most of the time, making that hash map again, and then figuring out this formatting. So again, this code will be up on GitHub. Feel free to post any questions or comments you have. Thanks.